So I have a 2015 Jeep. I've got a snow plow on it. One of the things that I had a problem with is I have a pretty long driveway, and it's really dark in the winter when I'm out there at night plowing. And when I'd back up, I couldn't see. So I decided to add some backup lights so that I could see, especially backing into the garage. That was always a problem because you can't see anything once the outdoor motion sensor light comes on. So I bought that kit with the lights, and it had 2 wires and a switch. Basically run it to a hot connection and a ground, and put the switch on to turn it on and off when you want it. So what I did is I opened up the power distribution box here, and using my tester, which I have connected to the ground here, I went and probed these contacts till I found a hot one, and there are several in here. The one I ended up using is over on this side, and I can't touch it right now because I've got an insulator on the clamp, or oh, there it is. There's an insulator on the connector to it. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to keep this inline fuse right here out of the elements. So that's why I put it inside the distribution box. So I ran the wires into the cab here, and I mounted the switch that came with the light kit. I can't find it. There it is. Let's see if I can turn the light on here. Mounted it on the dashboard, and that just interrupts the hot wire coming from that distribution box, and it runs to the back of the Jeep where the lights are. So I decided that I might forget to turn that off and either run down the battery, or I could be driving down the road and blinding the person behind me. So I decided, well, I'll put a relay in, and I'll hook it into the backup lights so that the added backup lights will only come on when I'm in reverse and when my standard backup lights are on. So what I did is this red wire here goes to the number 30 terminal on the relay. That just interrupts the power to the backup lights, and then this white wire is the output. So the relay just switches and turns off the red to the white connection whenever there's no power to the relay. So then what I did is I found, let me get the right one here. This is the backup light wire. So I ran that to the 85 terminal, and then the other side of the backup wire I ran from the 86 terminal to the wire that goes to the light. So I put that in, I turned it on, and I'm going to go turn the ignition on in the Jeep right now to show you what happened. So I've got it in reverse, got the ignition on, the backup light on the other side works, the backup light on the driver's side where I connected it and interrupted that wire does not work. I'm going to flip the switch on inside to show you that the relay actually does work. It turns it on. And if I take it out of reverse, everything's off. So the relay's working right. The problem is, what I decided is that since this is actually wired in series here to this backup light, that the relay is eating up all the juice, and then this light is actually making the connection to the ground, but there's not enough voltage and not enough amps in the circuit anymore because the relay used it all to turn on this light. So I'm going to turn this off and put it back in reverse while I make the changes to the connections that I needed to make. One thing I forgot to point out earlier is the ground wire that goes to the new lights. I attached it directly to the battery terminal so that it's on its own ground system, independent of the wiring that was in the Jeep or the frame or anything like that. So what I decided the problem is that I had wired the relay and the tail light in a series. In other words, the power feeding the relay came out of the relay and then fed the tail light. And I decided that the relay was consuming enough power off of that line so that on the output side of it, there wasn't enough left to light the light bulb. So what I had to do is I had to make a little change in the wiring. First thing I did is I put a jumper on here so that I could plug the tail light directly into the wire before the power went to the relay. Then the other thing I did is I had to provide a ground for the power to go from the relay and complete the circuit there. So what I did is I tapped into the ground wire for the additional lights and put that back into the to the relay. So now what I've got is I haven't changed the switched circuit. It's coming from the power supply through the switch in the dashboard, through the relay, and then it goes out to the tail lights. What I have changed is the power to the switching circuit in the relay, which comes from the tail light circuit and goes through the switch and into the ground. I also made a direct connection from the backup lights circuit to the backup light. So now when I go and turn on the ignition, it's in reverse. The power switch is on for the new lights. And as you can see, I now have a backup light on this side. Take it over to the other side, show you that it didn't impact that one. And I've got the two new lights so that I can see better when I back up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of reverse taking it out of reverse, all the lights are off. I will just show you that the other backup light is off as well. And now the other thing to do is to put it back in reverse, which will turn these on briefly until I shut the switch off on the dashboard. So that's with it back in reverse. Now to shut off the dashboard switch. And the additional lights go out. So now everything's working the way I want it. I can get additional light for backing up into the garage, or if I'm out in the driveway and I need to back up, I can see better, but there's no possibility of me being on the road going forward and having those lights shining in somebody's eyes. And I can turn them on and off at will. So if I'm doing something in the back at night, like hooking up a trailer, I can actually turn those on. Can't have the engine running because it needs to be in reverse, but I can handle that because it would only be for a couple minutes while I hooked up a trailer. So I hope this helps you out. It was a fun project for me. Happy motoring.